If you're upgrading your discharge, there is one document that matters more than probably any other, and too many veterans underestimate it. If you stick with me for the next few minutes, we're going to talk about why the personal statement is so critical to a good and solid discharge upgrade package. And if you wait until the very end, you're going to get one additional tip that I provide to most of my clients. My name is Kevin Courtney. I'm the founder of the Courtney Military Law Group, and I'm a former Marine Corps judge advocate. I help veterans upgrade their discharges and correct their records so that their military records accurately reflect their entire service, not just the worst day. So number one, why does the personal statement matter so much? Well, frankly, if you're a board member, you want to know who is this veteran that is applying for relief. And the personal statement is going to be the document that shows these board members exactly who you were before you served, what your service was like from your eyes, and anything that you've done afterwards. The personal statement is your opportunity to really dig deep, look inside of yourself, and figure out what needs to be told so that these board members understand exactly who you are and the hole that unfavorable discharge has left on your heart. The board has a ton of power to correct either inequities or injustices or provide clemency. And a personal statement is the perfect document to lay out exactly why you have facts and life experiences that empower the board members to use their powers to grant you an upgrade. Simply asking for a discharge upgrade because time has passed or you're looking for a particular VA benefit, that's not very convincing. But your personal statement is your opportunity to really explain the emotional toll that it has taken on you and what you're going to do if the board grants your upgrade. So number two, let's talk about the 6 things that make a very strong personal statement. So number one, we should talk about your background and why you enlisted. The members want to understand who were you before you actually joined the service and what kind of inspired you to either enlist or commission. Number two, your service, your awards, your personal endeavors, any of the accomplishments that you achieved while on active duty or in a reserve capacity. Number three, an honest account of the misconduct, assuming that there was. If you had no misconduct and there's another issue going on, that's probably when you want to escalate your case to an attorney to really figure out if you had a legal error or you fall under injustice theories. But if you had misconduct and you want to make a decision to own up to it and recognize that you're not going to minimize it before the board or show that you've grown or show that you had some sort of mental health issue that contributed to the misconduct, with the help of an attorney or veteran advocate, you might be able to strategically present some of that information to the board through your personal statement. Number 4 is connecting the mitigating factors. And this is absolutely huge for the liberal consideration analysis. And if you have questions on liberal consideration, I did a video about that. You should take a look. What we're looking for in number 4 is the idea that if you had PTSD, military sexual trauma, traumatic brain injury, or some sort of mental health issue, and that contributed to the misconduct that led to your discharge, the board is empowered to apply liberal consideration to your case. And so a personal statement is a great opportunity for you to present that evidence to the board members. Number 5 is going to be post-service rehabilitation efforts. A lot of veterans are getting out of the service with either an other than honorable or a bad conduct discharge, yet they have found a way to find a job, get mental health treatments, and they're making a life for themselves. And it shows that the post-service rehabilitation efforts that they've made are something the board needs to consider to figure out whether the current characterization still matters and is still accurate for this service member. Number 6, and only if it really applies to you, is if you have some sincere remorse and accountability, a personal statement is a great place for veterans to articulate why they are remorseful for their misconduct and for their actions that led to their discharge. So let's talk about a real example. There's a famous case from the Ninth Circuit called Bussey v. Driscoll. Bussey was an Army veteran who went through a court-martial and had a conviction and received a bad conduct discharge. Bussey essentially went to the Discharge Review Board and the Board for Correction of Military Records asking for a discharge upgrade from BCD to something more favorable. And to justify that request, Bussey presented evidence of his PTSD, showing that PTSD contributed to the circumstances surrounding the misconduct that was litigated and decided at a court-martial. But ultimately, because it was at a court-martial, it led to his discharge. The Board for Correction of Military Records said, well, PTSD did not cause you to commit the misconduct. Therefore, we're going to deny your discharge upgrade request. But because Bussey put into his personal statement exactly what had occurred during his service, plus some of the things he had done afterwards, and really connected the dots between his PTSD and the circumstances that led to the misconduct, in addition to some other supporting evidence, the Ninth Circuit came back overruling both the trial level and the Board for Correction of Military Records in their decision and said they failed to apply liberal consideration as it has been outlined by the DoD memorandums and the federal statutes. So this is a great example of how a personal statement, again, supported by some other documents, can really help a veteran present evidence to the board in order to justify why they deserve an upgrade. In another real-world example, there's a case called Machado v. Driscoll. It's a new 2026 case, and it deals with liberal consideration. Machado had PTSD and TBI and presented evidence over the course of several appeals that his misconduct contributed to the circumstances leading to his discharge. And again, the courts have looked at this in a federal district court level and ultimately determined that the board at the Army level, the Army Board for Correction of Military Records, failed to properly consider the mitigating evidence that was provided, in part, through the personal statement. If you have PTSD and have questions about how PTSD might connect to a discharge upgrade, I did a video up here and you can check it out. So number 3, as far as the personal statement goes, the board needs to consider 4 specific questions under the Kurta Memo if you are connecting any sort of mental health issue to your alleged misconduct. Veterans who are looking to upgrade their discharge and are using the personal statement can use it in a way to explain to the board why they should qualify for liberal consideration by answering the 4 questions that the board members have to ask. And it's through the Kurta Memo. It's from 2017. And the 4 questions are, number 1, did the veteran have a mental health condition that may excuse or mitigate the misconduct? Number 2, did that condition exist or occur during military service? Number 3, does that condition actually excuse or mitigate the discharge? And number 4, does that condition outweigh the discharge? Because the veteran knows what these questions are, they have the opportunity to explain with facts in their personal statement why they satisfy these 4 questions. So now let's talk about some of the mistakes that veterans make, and we're going to talk about 4 of them. Number 1, they're just too short or they're too vague. And if you don't put enough evidence in there, the board members don't really know how to handle your petition. Number 2 is a big one, which is blaming others. For veterans who were recently discharged and they continue to point the finger at somebody else and not take responsibility, in many cases, the board's going to recognize that the person is not deserving of a discharge upgrade. Number 3, ignoring or dodging some of the misconduct. And if it's clear in your record that there was misconduct and that contributed and led to your discharge, pretending that it didn't exist doesn't really help. Number 4 is focusing solely on the hardship as far as the post-service good growth and rehabilitation. The personal statement is a great spot to show the board that you've grown and you are not the same person from the day that you picked up that DD-214. For number 5, we're moving on to the tone and format of what a personal statement needs to look like and sound like. Number 1, it has to be honest. Your personal statement is your word, telling exactly to the board members how you feel, what happened, and therefore it has to be honest. If you write something that sounds like an AI wrote it or somebody else wrote it for you, the board members are probably going to recognize that. It also needs to just sound like you. It needs to be plain English, nothing fancy, nothing super long. It just needs to be you in plain English. If honesty was number 1, the second thing that is most important is going to be it has to be organized. One of the worst techniques you could do is just word vomit onto a sheet of paper and hope the board members can then figure out what you were trying to say. You should honestly outline your statement. You should write out the outline multiple times, reorganize it, have somebody else look at it, and then once you have a very solid outline, then write your full draft, and then have somebody else look at your full draft. You want to make sure that what you're presenting to the board is a clear indication of who you are today. And if you want your ideas to be taken seriously, you need to present your case in a serious, organized. Finally, it needs to be typed. Don't handwrite any of this stuff. Keep it organized, keep it clean, just type it out. If you have questions about your case and whether an attorney or a veteran advocate might be best suited to assist you, feel free to reach out to the Courtney Military Law Group. We're happy to set up a consultation with you and tell you what your real options are. If this content has been helpful, like and subscribe. And if you want to stick around, I've got another video that you might be interested in.